The first few months after I retired, if I am being completely honest, I was more unsettled than I had expected to be. For decades, I had known exactly who I was because my job told me. A title, a department, a role that explained me to other people. And I realized too late, to myself as well. The day I retired, that explanation disappeared. I had a business card drawer full of cards that no longer meant anything. And standing in front of the mirror on an ordinary Tuesday morning with nowhere to be and nothing I was officially responsible for, I felt something I was not prepared for. I did not know how to introduce myself anymore. More than that, I was not entirely sure who I was introducing. I mentioned this to a friend who had retired the year before me, and he laughed and said, "Welcome to the club." Apparently, this is more common than anyone admits. So today I want to share what actually changed things for me. Not grand gestures or philosophy, but the small, specific things that gradually made a difference. The first thing that changed was making and keeping promises to myself. When I was working, I was punctual to the point of obsession because the consequences of being late were real and visible. But after retirement, I realized I had stopped holding myself to any standard at all. I would wake up and lie there for an hour because there was no reason not to. One morning I noticed what I was doing and it bothered me. I had kept promises to employers and clients and colleagues for 40 years, and I could not keep a simple promise to myself. So I started small. I will get up at 7. I will walk around the block after breakfast. Nothing ambitious, but I kept them. And what surprised me was how much that mattered. The feeling of having decided to do something and then actually doing. It is a specific kind of satisfaction that I had undervalued for years. Self-respect, I think, is partly just that. Proving to yourself repeatedly that you are someone who follows through. The second thing was paying attention to how I presented myself. This is slightly embarrassing to admit. After retirement, I drifted into wearing the same comfortable clothes every day because I was not going anywhere in particular and no one was watching. Then I ran into an old colleague who said, not unkindly, that I looked different. He meant I looked like I had stopped trying. That bothered me enough that I changed. I started getting dressed properly every morning, regardless of what was on the agenda. What I discovered was that this was not really about other people at all. When I looked in the mirror and saw someone who had made an effort, I felt differently about the day. The act of getting dressed is a small declaration. I am showing up today. I am someone worth presenting. That sounds trivial, but it is not. The third thing, and this made the biggest difference, was sharing what I know with other people. I had kept a kitchen garden for years, a serious one, and after retirement I threw myself into it. A local community center asked if I would run a session on vegetable growing for beginners. I almost said no. I am not an expert, just an enthusiastic amateur. But I said yes, and what happened during that session is something I still think about. The people sitting in front of me were genuinely interested. They were asking questions and writing things down and looking at me the way I used to look at people who knew things I did not. I had forgotten what it felt like to be useful to someone in real time. Not in a historical sense, not because of what I used to do, but right now in this room today. That feeling is one of the most direct routes to self-worth I have found. When you give someone something they needed, you become, for a moment, exactly the right person in exactly the right place. The fourth thing was being fairer to myself about my past. Retirement gives you a great deal of time with your own memories. And memories, I found, have a tendency to serve up the regrets first. The decisions I would make differently. The things I said that I wish I had not said. The things I did not do that I wish I had. I spent a good deal of time in that territory before my wife said something that shifted my perspective. She reminded me of a particular period about 20 years ago when everything seemed to be going wrong at once, and pointed out that I had managed it, that the family had come through it, that I had stayed. She was not flattering me. She was just being accurate. And it occurred to me that I had been reviewing my history like a prosecutor, rather than a fair witness. So I made a deliberate effort to look for the evidence on the other side. The hard times I got through, the people I showed up for, the ordinary, decent things done over a lifetime that accumulate into something real. Acknowledging that record honestly is not vanity. It is accuracy, and it changes how you feel about yourself. The fifth thing was catching myself making comparisons and stopping. This is harder than it sounds. At my age, the social occasions that bring people together, reunions, informal gatherings, community events, are full of information about how other people's lives are going. And that information tends to flow in one direction in my head. That person is still so active. That couple seems so settled. Their children seem so successful. What I eventually noticed was that these comparisons were structurally unfair. I was always comparing what I lacked to what someone else had. I was never comparing what I had to what they lacked. So the comparison always ended the same way, with me on the losing side. Once I saw the mechanism clearly, I started catching it. I would notice the comparison beginning and simply name it. There I go again. That small act of recognition creates just enough distance to step back from it. The sixth thing was building a new identity from what I actually do now, rather than what I used to do. The identity vacuum that comes after retirement is something no one really prepares you for. For decades, your job answered the question of who you are in social situations. Without it, the question becomes genuinely difficult. I had been fumbling with it for months when my grandchild asked what I do, and I heard myself say, without thinking, I grow vegetables, and I teach people how to. The moment those words came out, I felt something shift. Not a former title, not a previous role, a present tense description of an actual person doing actual things. That is who I am now. If you have not done this exercise, I recommend it. Who are you right now, described in the present tense, using only things that are currently true? The seventh thing was learning to say no when I meant no. I had spent decades agreeing to things I did not want to do because I was afraid of what? Saying no would cost me in terms of relationships or reputation. The habit persisted into retirement. Someone would ask a favor and I would say yes and then privately resent it. What I slowly learned was that saying no, clearly and without excessive apology, does not damage most relationships the way I feared it would. What it does is establish that your preferences are real and worth considering. That is self-respect in practice. Knowing that your yes means something because your no is also possible. The eighth thing was moving every day. I walk every morning now. It started as an obligation I set myself and became something I actually want. The effect on mood is real, and I noticed it within the first week. Returning home after a walk, even a short one, I feel like someone who has already done something with the day. That feeling carries forward. It makes the rest of the day feel more intentional. I do not have a more complicated explanation than that. The body's momentum becomes the mind's momentum. Retirement removes the structure that told you who you were and what you were supposed to be doing. I found that disorienting for longer than I expected. But what I have come to think is that the removal of that structure is also the opening of a space. You get to decide, perhaps for the first time in a long time, what kind of person you want to be. That is not a loss. It just takes some getting used to.